Well, hello there, I'm Détroit. For a while now, I've been asking you to ask me questions in the comments. Some of you did, most of you didn't, so this is me answering your questions as well as questions you never asked. Just to be clear, I'm not being salty here, I genuinely wanted to make this video. I find it really fun to answer questions you never asked, and the more people follow my work, the less I'll have the opportunity to do so. Hence, I'm proud to finally make this a real thing. I hope you learn a thing or two. All the while drawing, of course. This drawing took short of an hour. I'm using a cross fountain pen with cross black ink. Subscribe for more art like this, and also not like this, because I tend to draw a lot of different stuff. Let's get started with this question by MK aka Morgan, who honestly asked most of the questions here, so big thanks to them. What inspires your story writing for your videos? Honestly, I just love to write and tell stories. I think it's because I read a lot and I've always done so. But after a while you kinda hope that certain stories turn the way you imagine they turn rather than the way they actually do. It makes you want to tell your own story. At first I built up on tropes that already existed, taking a scenario that already exists, but after a while that kinda comes up by itself. Storytelling, or you can call it imagination, as that's what it is, even though storytelling is the technical aspect of it, I would say. Anyway, it's like a muscle that you exercise and practice in. Now, I can't help but come up with fun ideas when I draw. Sometimes a drawing is inspired by a story, sometimes it's the other way around. So to answer your first question, I don't really know, I just want to mix in fiction and reality sometimes. The second question of the same comment is, when did you first start watching Drawfee? I accidentally found Drawfee in summer 2019, 6 months before I started my own YouTube channel. I was watching a lot of drawing content and finding their channel was inevitably going to happen. The first episode I watched was Artists Draw Link in Different Genres. I absolutely loved it. I loved the fun interaction between them, their humor, their skills and their bits. Since then I've been an avid fan and I think I'll continue to be for a long time. And maybe one day I'll get to be on their show, so do me a favor and subscribe, all of you, so that it can happen. Dr. Blubberflux, which is a user I obviously invented, asks, what's your favorite ice cream flavor? I don't really eat ice cream. I don't really have a sweet tooth, and for a few years now, I've had pieces of metal in some of my teeth, like crowns, and so ice cream tends to hurt my teeth nerves a little bit. But I really like the combo vanilla with salted butter caramel. During summer, it's absolute delish. Highwire554 asks, why don't you create your own comic? First of all, thank you for believing that I am capable of doing it. I don't think I am, to be honest. If there's anything obvious with my content is that I'm not consistent with my style at all. For these videos I make, it's really fun, I think it's original and potentially interesting, as well as a very good exercise for me. But for a comic, that's a big impairment. Another reason why I don't create my own comic is because I don't have the time. I'm working a full-time job as a scientist and I'm cramming drawing on the side. I also write whenever I can, but more for a book format. Writing a comic takes an insane amount of time, and it's not a project I necessarily want to pursue right now. What I write is usually serious in a sense that I don't really write funny stuff, which kinda implies a more serious art style as well. In turn, that implies a more effort in the making. At the same time, for a proper comic, we're already looking at years of work, and unless I've already written finished books, I don't want to lose all that time to put out a product that's unprofessional, as your first things always are. I hope that answered your question. Mick Quintillion asks, what do you like more between digital art and traditional art? Wow, that's a hard question to answer. Why did I write that? I can't really choose between the two babies that make my channel what it is. They are just different. Abstract art is really fun because you don't think about it that much while you draw. For digital illustrations, I represent actual things that are not abstract, so I have to think about coherence a lot. Anatomy, gesture, perspective, etc. All of these are constantly on my mind when I am working on tablet. But abstract doodles also come with their own problems. They are harder to film, they demand a lot of hand control and fine motor skills, and you can't erase. Digital has more potential for storytelling and makes for more original drawing prompts though, so maybe digital art is a bit more interesting to watch? It is less satisfying though. It's really hard to answer, I will leave it at that. Snorkel Snorkington asks, how are you? I'm good, my man. Physical health is good, mental health too, that's the most important. I hope all of you watching are good too. MK aka Morgan with another question, Have you ever thought about doing some coloring with some of your abstract art? Or would it take too long? That's a good point. It would take a long time. For traditional abstract doodles, I tend to make them fairly quickly if I'm filming them. If I draw over a few days, then all this time I can't move the sketchbook or the cameras. I also have to make the light similar every other day, which is much harder. So I usually draw them in a single instance. Doing coloring on them would simply add even more time and work. I am also not a big fan of colored traditional work. I love the feel of black and white inks, and I don't necessarily want to ruin that with my poor coloring skills. Taking a doodle and putting it on Photoshop, however, is something I can very well do. I just don't think about a good way to color them most of the time. If I use ink to represent semi-abstract stuff, then I can definitely make a coloring book page, like this tree drawing. I could color it, I guess. Also, for traditional coloring, I don't even own colored pencils, so yeah, I've thought about it, but for now I've decided against coloring my abstract work. Dinosaur Name asks, when is your birthday? Well, it depends. What is time? In a way, I was born on March 1st, 2020. You could say I was born earlier when my Instagram page appeared, which is linked in the description by the way, but you could also argue that I've always been there. I was created along the universe. I was there before time itself. I have also spent quite some time in other timelines, and in the future. Who can say for certain that I'm 25? You see, I wasn't born, I simply started to exist. Or I will start to exist. Reality is too restricted to answer that question, so next one. Tripod McCullen asks, would you rather have cardboard nails or tinfoil eyelids? Tinfoil eyelids. Emma Denier asks, where do you get inspiration from for your art? Well, Emma, the internet of course, but also museums, movie theaters, music, clothes, buildings, and nature itself. As I was saying earlier, I've seen the unfolding of the universe fabric, so I've witnessed everything in existence. No, but seriously, I take a lot of inspiration from Instagram, which is the platform I'm active on the most. My feed is only about art, and I take screen captures of it. I have a folder on my phone with over 780 pictures for inspiration or reference. That's mostly for the style of drawing, however. The subjects of drawing come to me more easily, as I said for the first question in this video. For abstract stuff, I can be inspired by, for example, leaves on a tree, roots on the ground, clouds, rock formations, running water on the shower curtain, or on a car window when it rains. Anything with cool patterns. For digital art, the ideas can come from story ideas, be them my own, or TV shows, cartoons, anime, movies, but also sometimes song lyrics, classical paintings, objects, animals. I really can't pinpoint one source of inspiration. A good tip that I use when I'm not inspired enough is to take two dumb ideas and put them together. I do it a lot with words. Take a chicken. By itself, it's not cool enough to draw. But zombie chicken? That's a good idea. Most of my drawings can be decomposed this way. If you ever run out of ideas, you can do that. I hope you're satisfied with that answer. Curry Garfunkel asks, will you ever do a face reveal? No. If you ever see my face, either you won't know it's me, or it's because I will get a bit famous from something else, like writing a successful book. But for anything that isn't drawing related, I will change my name, so it will never be too obvious. And it won't happen for a good while, so just forget about it, okay? MK aka Morgan, again, who's very prolific, asks, have you always wanted to be an artist/YouTuber, or is it something that just ended up happening? YouTuber? Definitely no. I started doing it on a whim. Before the 1st of March 2020, when I created an email address and a YouTube channel, I never thought of being a YouTuber. Even now, I don't see myself as pursuing the YouTuber path. I'm a storyteller or artist, or writer if you insist on putting a name on it. YouTube is only a way I chose to share my art and my projects because you can easily mix writing, drawing, crafting that way. Like sharing writing on Instagram just doesn't work, so I chose YouTube. Artist? Now, it's a different question. I've always been drawing, on the margin of class notebooks like everybody else. Pursuing drawing isn't something I've considered for a long time. Now I do, but there's a reason I didn't go to art school and instead studied physics in an engineering school, then did a PhD in condensed matter physics. I'm a scientist, technically, not an artist. To become a fully fledged artist living from their art is really hard and it doesn't pay easily, so I never went into it fully head on. If comes a day where I can get the opportunity to pay the bills with my art, then I will definitely quit my job and do that, but not for now. So yes, I've always wanted to be an artist, but I didn't actually consider it until quite recently, and I honestly don't see it happening for a few years still. Poseidon the Third asks, are you subscribed to the Detroit Variety channel? I think it's a good question. I am. Are you? You can find the answer right below. If the button is red, then it means you aren't. Finally, our last question comes from Gorbatron. What are you gonna do to people if they aren't subscribed? I will eat them. I'll chomp them entirely, like that, with just one bite. Then I'm gonna force them to like this video and leave a comment. Then I will force their family to check out my social media, so Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. After that, I will eat their family and force their friends to share my videos with even more friends. That I will then eat. I'm hungry. Thanks for watching. That was Detroit. Bye!